Hi guys, my name is Abhinav Gupta. Today I wanted to talk about uh, a study on the world's deforestation. And quickly, the reason I chose this topic was I'm a firm believer in sustainability of our environment, of our livestock, and I think this topic means a lot to me. So, doing a deeper analysis definitely sets a great foundation on any further research I would do around this topic. So let's start with where I got my data from. I think finding data for this topic was quite easy because the World Bank provides tons of data on tons of different topics, and a lot of organizations are vested in this type of data for forests areas. And I was able to get data stemming back from 1990s. I chose to have my data incremented every 5 years. So from 1990 and every 5 years till 2015, simply because if I did every year, the change is very incremental. And, I think it'd be very hard to get a general overview from incremental change. So every 5 years should provide a good overview and a trend for each country. So the first thing I did when I got my data was to validate it. That means, make sure all of the data is numeric so it can be graphed and used in a pivot table, and make sure it's good to go and for other analysis. So the World Bank, for insignificant values for smaller countries that you can see here that have zeros on them, they listed them as a dot dot. So those are obviously not numeric values. So my uh, first instinct was to do Control H, which is find and replace, and it would find all the dot dots and replace them with zeros. So now that we have all numeric values, I did some conditional formatting to get a good overview to see how many countries actually experienced deforestation and how many did not since 1990. And I just formatted it to show if the change was negative to be highlighted in red. And as we can see here, most often than not, more countries were highlighted in red. So now that we have done that, we can start with our dashboard here. So my first two graphs here in the dashboard, I kind of wanted to do a general top-down approach where my first two graphs would be general and then graphs underneath would be a little more intricate. So you can see here, these three graphs on the left side are connected by a slicer called continent. Now, I think I found slicer to be a particular feature that I found truly helpful in this dynamic presentation, because when you're connecting these three graphs with a relationship and a slicer, it just makes your whole presentation dynamic. For example, I have these graphs. So the first graph shows a time analysis for each continent on forest area. The second and third graph kind of do a deeper dive into the countries, the largest countries with the forest area and the largest increases. So if I were to press on Africa, for example, as a continent, I can see that as a continent, Africa showed a decrease in forest area. We can see in the second graph all of the biggest forests in the continent and see how they fared. We could see right off the bat that most of them actually decreased. And we can also see countries that experience significant growth. So I think this is very important for further analysis, because if you're doing further research into this topic, we can kind of look at what laws or what is causing increases in this country and just focus on these countries specifically, and what is causing decreases in these countries, and kind of take things from here on these countries and see if we can apply it to the countries that are decreasing forests in Africa, and we could do that for each continent. So Slicer is a very important tool to get a general overview of each individual country and do a deep analysis on all of them. So I knew since we had a lot of country data, I think Power Maps would be a great tool to visualize all of this. So I used the Excel map, 3D map, to visualize this. So for example, if I wanted to see all the countries with positive forest increases, we can see more often than not they're hovered around the European area. And if I wanted to just see the negative, Wow, we could simply see that in Africa and southern North America is where the most deforestation happened. So, you know, just doing using maps, we could dynamically see that, hey, look, Europe is actually doing a great job in sustaining forests and actually increasing forest size, whereas Africa and South North America are actually losing forests. So this is a very important tool in doing deeper analysis because we can look at what Europe is doing right in terms of regulation and laws, and extract that from there and apply it to Africa and see if we apply the same laws and regulations to Africa, can we mitigate this deforestation? So, I think map was a very integral part in this presentation. Now, I wanted to move on to an economical analysis as well, of deforestation, because I think that ties in very well with the country data we have. So I was able to find data on income classes and the area of deforestation or increases. And as you can see here, this kind of makes sense. Middle income and upper income and high income neighborhoods experienced, or countries experienced, either a constant or a slight gain in forest area, whereas low income neighborhoods experience significant decreases. Now, if we could use this data and kind of connect it to the data that we use for each country, and combine them, we can kind of validate that low income neighborhoods and countries in each continent should be going through significant deforestation. And this kind of validates our data because we've seen some countries that are decreasing in forest area. We can kind of link that between their income classifications and kind of validate if we expect this result or not. So moving on, I definitely wanted to spend time talking about this specific graph. I found this feature to be very unexpected from Excel. This statistical tool package, having studied statistics in my undergrad, I was not aware that Excel had such a vast array of statistical functions. All of the data that we've used here, we've done past analysis on. So we've done analysis from 1995 to 2015. But what if we wanted to do some future analysis? And I think this statistical tool really helped us to do that because it forecasted for the next 5 periods. So in 2030, we should be around 6,550 forest area around the world. And this trend line is showing a significant downturn, with 86% accuracy. So, using this tool, we're able to see that, look, if we don't do something about this now, we can continue to expect a significant drop in the world's forest area. And, I think this tool was very unexpected and very easy to kind of tie in the whole presentation together because, yes, we have lost forest area in certain continents such as Africa and gained in Europe, but we can predict the future a little bit and just say this is going to continue to happen, and even at a steeper rate. So now that I've talked about that, I wanted to end this presentation on saying, this data really helped us set a good foundation for further research. Just by doing this quick analysis, I was able to learn that Europe is doing something correct. Europe is significantly increasing, its forest area. And we should totally, if we're going to do further research on this, we should look at Europe more and see and truly understand what they're doing correctly and try and apply it to countries and continents that are not doing so well, such as Africa and South America and South North America. So this presentation and dashboard helps us visualize quickly where we're doing things correct and where we can take improvements. So I want to thank you for listening to my presentation.